Hey guys, this is Alex Costa of ANR Design Unholstered podcast. This is episode 6 with Frank from Bull Creek Strategic. This is our second time attempting to record this because today's been shitty. Anyway, Frank, introduce yourself. Tell us about Bull Creek Strategic. Tell us about the gun shop you own and run, and a little bit about your background and what got you to where you are today.
Hey guys. Name's Frank, like Alex said. So I own Bull Creek Strategic and Escarpment Arms. Bull Creek Strategic is a training company that's based out of New York State. And we focus on handgun, carbine, hand-to-hand, vehicle tactics. I mean, you name it, we try and bring real world onto the range. My gun store is Escarpment Arms. Also New York-based business. We are a full custom shop. We do slide milling, stippling, armor cuts, full-on bolt gun builds. You name it, we probably do it, or we have someone that does it for us. So yeah, that's that.
So when we first recorded, you kind of got kicked off. You said that you tell us about your military background and what got you into training and how that was kicked off. And
so I spent a little over 8 years in the Army. I was in the 82nd. I was a paratrooper, 11 Bravo. Also was on a water insertion team, dive team, working with boats and stuff like that. Did that up until 2014. From 2012 until 2014, I went to a private university, worked on my bachelor's in criminal psychology. After I got out of the military, I went directly into the private sector, worked for Triple Canopy from somewhere in 2014 until about 2017. Bull Creek itself, that was the way it started was sitting around a fire pit with a buddy of mine, kept talking about, hey man, we need to do something different. We need to do something. Like there's a lack in training and there's a lack in education when it comes to martial skills in New York State. So I wasn't about it. I was too busy with my deployment rotation and everything like that. I just didn't have time to do it. But when I'd come home, I would do private classes, like just for friends or people asking me to teach them how to shoot. I'd take them off the range, or we'd go on the mats and we'd roll. In 2017, I blew my knee out, got medevaced home, and that's kind of where the inception of Bull Creek came from, was because I was looking at something that I could possibly do that would keep me home, or a backup plan. Always got to have a backup plan upon a backup plan upon a backup plan, no matter what you do. Like you may be good at one thing, but have a plan in case that thing falls through. And that's kind of where Bull Creek came from. And at the same time, Escarpment was being started too. I was drawing slide designs on napkins overseas. My buddy who worked for AI, he was their barrel guy for a while. Me and him were cutting slides, designing slides, putting them in front of slow motion cameras to see what mitigated recoil, what worked and what didn't work. Tons of mistakes, tons of money lost. And my one friend was like, hey, why don't we start a store? I'm like, nah, I'm good. I really don't want to. I just want to do this for myself. He took the reins and got the FFL, did all the paperwork for it, and then ran out of his basement for like 3 years. And then about 9 months ago, I was looking for property because I didn't have a range, and all the ranges I was using would only last for a season, and then we would get booted for whatever reason, like whether it was the state, whether it was time, whether it was the private members would get mad that we were there. So I ended up finding a property that had like 30 some acres, and it's been a gun range for 60 years with a gun store up front. So kind of fell into our laps, and that's kind of where Bull Creek got its home range, and Escarpment Arms got the storefront.
Cool. How do you spell Escarpment Arms for people that can't spell?
ESCARPMENT.
Escarpment Arms.
Yeah, Escarpment Arms.
Nice. So are you just a gun shop? Do you have retail? Do you sell other accessories at your shop? Is it a full-blown gun shop? What do you do?
So it's a full-blown gun shop. Full-blown gun shop. We do customizations, like legit. We don't build stuff. Like, yes, we do build stuff when people ask for it to be done. Like, we don't slap stuff together. Like, we're dimpling barrels, all that good stuff. Like staking gas blocks, like you name it. Like we're doing cerakoting, stippling, slide milling, RMR cuts, cerakoting, custom bolt gun builds. Basically every aspect to customization you can think of with firearms. I mean, and it's not just the tactical industry, it's hunting. We refinish old guns, M1 Grands. We just had an M9 1919 that we just redid. We've got a bar that we're working on. The bar is cool. So one of our clients brought it in. It was his grandfather's that he actually stormed the beaches with. Like, that's cool. It was pretty freaking rad. And he brought it was demilled, cut in half. Someone tried to braze it. Someone tried to weld it. So we had to cut it. We put it through electrolysis, cleaned it, re-welded it so the bolt actually moves. And now we couldn't blue it because the damage to the metal. So we're actually cerakoting it. We're trying to find like the right color to use to try and get it to match. But that one was neat, man. Because when I pulled that apart, like the dirt that was coming out of it, like was guaranteed dirt from like World War II. And like that was super, super rad to work on that gun. So like I said, we do everything from full on customization to refurbishing and refinishing.
Why blue it? Why blue it? Just fucking Scotch Brite all the weld spots and just leave it fucking.
No, you can't even tell where we welded it. Like that's how good the weld is. But like we wanted to
fucked up.
Yeah, we wanted to blue it just to try and get it back to its original state. But the pitting that was there, it's gonna be a wall hanger. So we're just gonna do a light coat of Cerakote to make it look as original as possible.
No, just leave it pitted and fucked up.
That's what I wanted to do, but the customer didn't want it done like that. It's my choice. I told him, I was like, dude, this is rad, man. This shows history. Like, we should leave it the way it is. And he's like, I want it to look good on my wall. I'm like, it's gonna look good on your wall, man. It's a bar. No one has these. That's cool.
Yeah, like I want to see the scars that my grandfather put on it. Like,
yeah.
But customer is never right.
Yeah.
Yeah, fucking customers, man. Anyway, we were talking about earlier before the podcast took shit. We were talking about capabilities and how, at Bull Creek, you want to teach capabilities, not just shooting, right? So martial stuff, hand to hand, blade work, even down to, we talked about building fires and survival type stuff. Like, that's super important, and everyone today on Instagram and social media is always fixated on how fast you can go and how much customization can I put into my gun to make it sexy, to make it mine, to make it personal. But these people don't know how to run guns, and then you take the gun away. What are they? What are they capable of doing once you take that gun away? What if you put something else in their hands, like a shotgun, or oh, you got to go hunt now. Do you know how to hunt? Or do you know how to shoot a bow? Do you know how to defend yourself with a knife? And the problem with my opinion with today is not enough people get punched in the fucking throat for their mouth.
Yeah.
Or
there's no repercussions for anything that you do anymore.
It's different, dude. It's different. Like, we come from an age where if you run your mouth, you get blasted in the fucking throat. You're on the ground. Maybe you have to go to the hospital, get your head kicked in. And, maybe I shouldn't say that shitty stuff anymore. But, we have a whole generation of kids that are seeing like this hyper, not discrediting the hype beast drop companies, but you got all these dudes that are just acquiring hype beast gear that is worth something now, that's not going to be worth shit in 10 years, that, everyone thinks it's the new hot, cool thing. And I'm going to bring back a word from our youth, but poser. There's a lot of posing going on Instagram, and there's not a whole lot of doing. And, Reddit and Instagram and YouTube gave all these people a voice that have no actual experience.
The people that have voices too, like, they have voices because they got on the platform when it started.
Right.
Like, they got on Instagram when it was just starting out. They got on Reddit when it was just starting out. YouTube, like, all that stuff, like, that's how they got voices. So companies like, oh, these people have tons of followers. Like, that's what I'm going to roll with. Whereas then you got guys who actually know what they're doing, who don't have that because they weren't in it from the beginning because they were working.
Yeah, but even breaking it down to basic, just people new to social media platforms that are getting into guns, they might fixate on one YouTuber or one Instagrammer and said, oh, this person said this, and this is absolute. Whereas, I mean, I've never trained under you, right? I really want to. I was going to try to go to Ohio Range Day, but I'm not sure I can. But I've always wanted to be instructed by you at a higher level class, not an entry level class. But to me, like, a person is measured in their capabilities, and I have trained under like hundreds of instructors because I'm really close to the 6 Hour Academy. A buddy of mine used to dump $150K a year in classes there and basically just pay my way to go take classes with him because he wanted a couple of his homies taking classes with him. So, I'd show up for classes like twice a week for a year. So taking a lot.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's great. And I've learned under a bunch of different people, SEALs, Green Berets, international dudes, 22 SAS guys. Like, spent a lot of time learning from all these people. And, scout snipers and, dudes that have gone through like CAG selection and shit, like great stuff. But I'm not ever like, oh, this is the best instructor. This is the best. Everything he says is absolute. Like I didn't take a Noner class, but I sat in on one because we're buddies and he was local at SIG when he came to SIG. So like I've seen like the spectrum, right? Yeah. The last class I took was a Tony Cowden class. I've seen the spectrum and there's like, okay, I agree with this that Tony's saying, but I'm not, this application that he's explaining to me doesn't work for me. Like, it just doesn't. So
and that's the thing is like all that stuff, like all that knowledge, like we're not teaching, like all of us, all the core, all the instructors that are in the industry, like nobody is teaching anything that's different from anybody else, really. Like what they do is they've learned certain ways to do things and they've learned it's all about articulation.
Yes.
Is they articulate it a different way than like say I would, or Ian from Room Nation or Achilles or Arcane. Like it's just articulation. So we're all preaching the same stuff. We're just taking a different avenue to get there. So like with me, I talk a lot about mindset, body mechanics, and muscles. Like these are the muscles you're using. This is why you're using them. This is the type of mindset. Because like I said before, shooting is 10% of the problem. The rest of it, 90% of it is all mental. If you can get past that mental barrier, shooting's simple. Because as one of my good buddies, Teddy always states, is shooting is shooting. Like that's it. Don't overcomplicate it. Don't try and make it something that it's not. So like all these instructors, I want to take classes from everybody. Like I take classes all the time myself because like I said, you're always going to learn something new. There's going to be stuff that's going to be reiterated. It's going to be the same. But they articulate a different way where it's going to click a different way. And you're like, oh, I like that. I'm going to take that. I'm going to put that there. I'm going to take that. And I'm going to put that there. And I'm going to utilize it and stuff.
Right. So we're talking minutia level variations between instructors. I like the Instagram instructors. There's a couple of them that I do like. I do have a favorite instructor. Right now I do have a favorite schoolhouse training facility, but just because I have trained with so many different people and I felt like I plateaued. I'm like, okay, for my capabilities and how much I put into it, I feel like I've plateaued. Like I'm just, making sure nothing perishes skill wise. But I did go out to Ridgeline Defense in New Hampshire, and those dudes.
I've heard good stuff about that.
Those dudes have taught me some fucking minutia level stuff that Alex Hartman and Rudy just pick up on, and they're like, "Has anyone ever mentioned this to you?" And I was like, "No." They're like, "All right, try this." And I'm like, "Holy shit!" Like just sling work, like positioning on a sling on an uneven surface, like the side of a car on a C-pillar, or just a couple drills that now are part of my like daily regiment training. Then I started to see my fucking skill level go up again, and I'm like, oh fucking right, let's do this. So
vehicle tactics, that's probably one of my favorite classes to teach is vehicle tactics, because like that's kind of with what I did for work, that was where I spent 90% of my time was in and around vehicles. So I love teaching vehicle classes.
That's like life though.
Yeah, I hate posting any content about vehicle classes. I cannot stand it because there's always people who are like, oh, well, you shouldn't do that, or you shouldn't do that, or you should be junkyard prone off of the hood or the trunk or this and that. And it's like, you can't use a pillar. Like, well, bullshit. Like, a pillar covers this much of my body. That's pretty good fucking cover for temporary usage. Like, I'm going to utilize that because it's better than having nothing.
Right.
Well, you shouldn't be there. Like, well, it's temporary. That's why it's called temporary cover. It's metal. Metal's going to deviate or do something. But like, yeah, I love that class.
Well, it's blocking your T-zone and your spine. I mean, there's not a spine shot there, but yeah, it's also situational. Like, who's shooting at you and what's their elevation, and So there's so many people that have so many opinions of things. There was one guy one instructor. Why can't I remember his name? I haven't seen anyone post about him in a long time. He was that cop that shot a dude, and he was a cop that shot a dude, and everyone, he had something gun Jesus or whatever. What the fuck is his name? Why can't I remember his name? I haven't literally not seen anyone post about him in fucking 2 years.
I don't know.
He's got like a mole here, clean shaven. What the fuck is his name? Anyway, he was like, he was at the time that he was real hot. It was like the Pat Max and the Noners and him.
Yeah.
Trying to remember his training company name. Oh my God. Why the fuck can't I remember?
Centrifuge?
Yes. Anyway, has he gone ghost? Like, I haven't seen anything.
No. So he's still in. He's still doing stuff. He's just focused more on law enforcement courses. So like, he's still doing VCQC classes. Like, I would love to go to a VCQC class from him, just because I've had a lot of friends take it and they're like, yeah, like, there's a lot of really good stuff you can pick up from it. But that's kind of what he specializes in, is law enforcement, VCQC.
Okay. But to backpedal my point, I saw a video of him, and I don't know if he did it as a joke, but he takes his pistol and shoves it through the air vent of the car to do a one-hand manipulation with the slide lock. And I'm like, why would you introduce foreign fucking broken plastic medium to your firearm when you can just rack off your steering wheel or rack off your center console? Like, the gun is fucking, you have a cup holder. The gun is slide locked. You can use your capable hand to get to a magazine somewhere and load it between your knees. Why did you have to blast it through the air vent? He's like, you know what? Air vents are fucking modified holsters, bro. Bang, and bangs it through. And I'm just like, yes, but now there's broken plastic that can get in there, and it kind of felt like it was just one of those Instagram high speed vibes that he was going for to like. No, dude, that's
a real thing, man. Like, that shit is done because you have to think about it. Like, when you get to like an endorphin dump, or you start having that huge flow of adrenaline, you revert back to your lowest form of training. So a lot of this shit.
Putting shit in your gun?
Yeah. So like, you mechanics become very complicated. So you look for easy objects. So yes, you like poured like decking the steering wheel, but the vents, we've utilized the vents overseas to do things, because real quick, like, boom, there. It's sitting there, it's good, it's stable. Like, it's what I suggested? No, but if you're not processing things the way you need to process things, and that's the first thing you see, do it.
I mean, I get the whole overcome and move forward kind of thing, but it does seem like, why induce an even greater malfunction if you don't have
you possibly could.
Yeah, like a broken piece of plastic getting under your fucking dust cover and getting into your recoil spring assembly and just completely fucking your life up. So, I don't know. I saw some gimmicky shit on, not just his, but what I see is like the Instagram instructor. There's a lot of gimmicky shit to try to rope people in.
Theatrics, man.
There's range theatrics. Where, man, I missed that Instagram page, man. That was a fucking funny one. Range theatrics. So, but it exists. So we were talking about capabilities before, like being more capable person. Like, I started learning how to hunt 4 years ago now. And now it's part of my life. Like, I'm always hunting now. Whether I'm going on trips to hunt or hunting locally, hunting is now a part of my life. It's part of my family's life. Eating wild game is part of my family's life. You and I were talking about what got us into firearms. I came from a family that didn't have firearms. They weren't like, grossly against it, but no guns in the house. But I grew up Boy Scouts. We were talking before about Boy Scouts and how, I shot 22 at 7 years old and started shooting the shotgun league through Boy Scouts and started winning like little events, and how Boy Scouts was so important to our childhood. Got your Tolton shit, which was like your carry permit for a knife in Boy Scouts and for an axe. Like that's a big deal. You got your fire permit, so your fire whatever card, so you can make fires unsupervised. There's a lot of responsibility that you get in Boy Scouts, and you learn a lot. And I was in a very militarized Boy Scout troop. We had a bunch of Marine, Gulf War and Bosnian vets and Army vets and artillery captain as like the scout leaders, the parents that led the troop, and everyone had hand-me-down M81 Gore-Tex, and it was like the militarized troop. When we rolled through for Chuckwagon or Klondike, everyone was decked out in camo, and everyone had hand-me-down fucking boots and shit. So
that's how it was for me. Like, I grew up in a family that wasn't huge into firearms. Like I said before, like my grandfather was a Korean War vet. He was in the Air Force. He was an Eagle Scout. My dad was an Eagle Scout. My two uncles were Eagle Scouts. My father-in-law, he's an Eagle Scout. I'm an Eagle Scout. But guns weren't a huge part of my family's life. Like it was like we grew up on the west side of Buffalo. My parents weren't necessarily against them. We just didn't have them in the house. So when I got to Boy Scouts, like, all my friends had guns because we moved out to the country. Like that's where they took us, and all my friends had guns. They were all into hunting. They were all doing stuff. I was the only kid that didn't have guns. And then Boy Scouts introduced it to me, and I'm like, oh, this is awesome. And then I started like you did. I went to the shooting teams, like the 22 caliber shooting league, and then I went to summer camp the one time and was like, oh, shotgun, that's cool. Let me do that. And then I got in the NRA youth trap and ski league. And my Boy Scout troop was ran the same exact way. It was all veterans from Gulf War, if not older, Vietnam. And they ran the troop like it was a platoon. Like you had squad leaders, you had squads, your scoutmaster, your platoon sergeants, basically. Like if you didn't have your belt brass on brass, you did push-ups. Like they were super strict on how they did everything. So you stand a parade rest when you talk to leadership. So we had a very high esprit de corps of who we were because we felt like we were better than everybody because we looked at everybody else and they were just a bunch of kids running around.
Right.
But like here we were, like we marched in formation at summer camp out to the flag ceremonies where everyone else just walked. Like we actually marched. Like my scoutmaster played the bagpipes and we'd march the bagpipes out to formation.
Yeah.
Like it was super cool. So then when I got in the military, like I had an idea of what to expect. So like other guys that were in basic and stuff like that were like, oh, well, you're just a suck up or this and that. Like you want to know it all. Like, no, it's just common life. Like you're male, you're an adult, you made the decision to do this. Like quit acting like a fucking child.
Right.
Like do what you're supposed to be doing so you learn more. Like it's that simple. So my scout troop was the same exact way. It was very militaristic, and I loved that aspect of it. And now with my kids in Boy Scouts, it's completely different just because of society, where you can't yell at kids. You can't tell them to do push-ups because it's considered
hazing.
Yeah, you're hazing. And I'm like, well, no, that's becoming a man. Like that's the whole point. Like that was the whole point of Boy Scouts.
You need consequences.
Yeah, to make you a better functioning male in society. Right. Is what it was designed to do. It wasn't designed to give you a trophy for fucking participation. Like you earned everything you had. Like if you couldn't start a fire with 2 fucking sticks, guess what? You didn't get that fire card. Like if you couldn't qualify with a 22 caliber rifle, you didn't get to shoot one.
You didn't get your merit badge either, you know?
Yeah, you didn't get any of that.
Those were your goals, like stacking that merit badge stash. It was like, okay, what? And that's what it is. As a child in Boy Scouts, that merit badge stash is a physical, tangible representation of your capabilities as a kid in the Boy Scouts.
100%.
These are your achievements, your accolades from I mean, fucking basket weaving's cool as fuck, dude. Like making watertight baskets, making stools, learning wicker and cane. Like that's super cool. Like some people might say, oh, that's fucking lame. Why did you want to do that? No, I wanted to make fucking something I could sit on. So I'm not sitting on fucking logs all the time.
Dude, I mean, when I was deployed, like we had to sew all of our stuff onto our sashes and onto our uniforms. So like when I was deployed, the gear that we got issued wasn't great gear. So I would have to make my own stuff, or we would have to adjust our own stuff. So everyone's like, oh, well, who did that for you? I'm like, I did. Like, you sewed this? I'm like, hell yeah, I sewed this. Where did you learn how to do that? Boy Scouts.
Boy Scouts.
Started making all my own stuff.
Absolutely. I mean, and I still look at Boy Scouts as a great representation of what men should be today, you know? Fucking real talk, like capabilities as a person. Like just because the whole world is fixated on super go fast, sexy range bullshit. You know, have you taken a wilderness survival class? Have you done your hunter safety course? And do you try to attempt to hunt or learn how to hunt? Maybe you don't have a mentor, but there's just going out in the woods with a fucking shotgun with the pursuit of maybe shooting an upland bird and watching some YouTube videos on how to identify what's good cover for whatever species you're going for. I mean, I just got a hunting puppy, but I've hunted without a dog for the last 4 years by myself. I will go out to a couple places that I either were tipped off on or have witnessed, and I will literally just put in the fucking miles, and I will walk 3 times farther than anyone with a fucking dog and push just as many birds and go home with a full bag at the end of the day. Like I limit out on woodcock because I know a couple places I've scouted that have good fucking cover, and I know how woodcock act. And I go to this old apple orchard and I push the trees are all tented from bittersweet, and I just sat there one day and fucking watched. And woodcock are super camo, right? And then I start seeing them moving, and I'm like, okay, they're under the tents. They're literally under tents. So just walk slowly, kick the tents up when they fly and they bust, fucking whack them. And I typically don't wear ear pro when I hunt birds. But now that I'm going to have a dog, I might actually start running my OpsCore amps again because I do want to protect my hearing, because I have noticed I used to have constant tinnitus, like loud tinnitus, and now it's getting quieter, and that's not a good sign. Yeah. And I mean, I wear ears for everything. Everything's suppressed, but maybe even with ear pro, the volume of shooting, playing video games at night with headphones on, and how loud those fucking games get. Like, I'm sure we're just breaking down our hearing long term. But anyway, back to capabilities.
Yeah. So like
life is
going hunting.
Capabilities.
Yeah, like going hunting. Like, I mean, I've gone hunting where I've had friends like, hey, let's go squirrel hunting. I have friends like show up with shotguns. I'm like, what are you doing? It's like 22 or 17 HMR is what you need. And they're like, well, what do you mean? I'm like, I'll show you. We walk out in the woods, walk out for like a mile. We sit down in a good blind and find a spot, wait for them to come out in the morning to go get their morning nut. As soon as they perch up, pow, take them out. You're utilizing your stalking, you're utilizing understanding your surroundings, your skill set for shooting, and you're using a 22 caliber rifle, so you're not just blasting shot anywhere. You're actually using skill to do it. And like that's
tree identification.
Yeah.
Habitat identification. They like squirrels like really, really big old trees with knots and holes in them. They can build nests. The tallest tree in the area because they want the best vantage point for predators. You know. And fucking squirrels, dude. They're most active in the first 2 hours in the morning and the last 2 hours at night.
And they taste good.
Squirrels, I like deck to table, man.
They taste so good. Just chop them up, make them like chicken wings, dude. But yeah, like you were saying, the whole wilderness survival thing too, like in Boy Scouts, like, that has saved, like I can give you an example of one instance where that has saved like my life and like my team's life. Like, did wilderness survival as a kid. Basically, like for people that don't know, like wilderness survival is you'll go out for 2 to 3 nights and whatever you have on you is what you have.
Right.
And like basically I had a ferro rod, not like a pocket knife, like a utility, like a Gerber kind of, an emergency blanket, and some water, and that's all I had. And basically, we had to build a shelter. You got to find food, catch food, cook food.
Did you not get an egg?
Huh?
They gave us an egg.
We didn't get an egg.
We get all that plus an egg, and
Yeah, we
You
didn't
make
get
a
any of
fire
that.
and you got the water, you can hard boil the egg and reuse the
Yeah, they
water
didn't
for
give us any of
drinking.
that. They're like, here, go forth and prosper. And we're like, all right. And we were in Buffalo, or like Western New York. So we weren't there. We were up in the Adirondacks. But I mean, it gets cold at nighttime, so
Yeah.
utilize an emergency blanket with your fire. So 2000 late 2009, we were up in the Pesh River Valley. Well, I wasn't there yet. We got spun up to go recover a unit that was down with an aircraft. So my team went out there. We had to set up on 4 different points, and we're like, all right, this is gonna be an easy day. While like the DART team picks up the helicopter, like we're pulling Overwatch. Cool. It went from like 50 degrees to raining to sleeting to snowing to hailing to fucking 30-mile-an-hour winds, and we were sitting at like 8,000 feet. Like it was just ridiculous. It sucked. And one of my guys started like, we ended up taking our climbing gear, anchoring it on one point of the hilltop, and then shimmying down 10 feet off the other side. So roped ourselves in, covered ourselves with a poncho, and then ended up digging a small hole and lighting shirts on fire while we had ourselves wrapped in emergency blankets just to stay warm. Like everyone's like, oh, yeah, gunfights and this and that. Like, no, dude, there was none of that. It was just us trying to bear with the elements because we couldn't leave our points from where we were. But at that point, no one else is going to be fighting you. So we're like, all right, well, we need to survive, and that's all we need to do. So wrapped ourselves in emergency blankets and burned t-shirts until the sun came up, dude. And like some of my guys are like, where did you learn this? I'm like, Boy Scouts. Like it was in Boy Scouts, and that little wilderness survival class like saved our lives. And that's what I use that story to like explain to like the kids who are in my son's Boy Scouts troop, like because they look at me and they're like, I carry a Hill People gear chest pack whenever I go hiking, and it's got compass, 550 cord with magnesium in it. I got ferro rods. I've got like a granola bar, a lighter, like all your basic essentials to go on a hike. So if you get stuck, you've got something. And I'll pull everything out and I'll lay it out and I'll explain it. And they're like, well, what's that thing used for? And then I'll tell them the story about the emergency blanket. Everyone's like, do those things actually work? 100%. Those things, like,
especially if you're butt naked.
In every piece of gear that you have, you should have a fucking emergency blanket or a space blanket in there.
Dude, butt naked is the best. Being butt naked under a space blanket is the only way to go because people don't understand. Your body gives off UV light.
Oh yeah.
So you want to contain that UV light, which creates your ambient heat. That's why they always say get completely naked, even if you're with other people. Be completely naked up against each other under a blanket because you're just generating so much. I mean, it's a very small amount of UV light, but it's enough with those space blankets to actually.
Oh, dude, you'll start sweating.
Yeah, exactly.
Like I literally keep an emergency blanket in every vehicle I have, every backpack that I have, because it costs $1 or something like that. Well, it used to cost $1. It probably don't cost $1 anymore. But I keep it everywhere. No matter like every piece of kit that I have, it's there. I have one of my plate carrier, like in my dangler. I've got one in there with my med kit. So, like you said, it's just that martial skill set of just everyday survivability and knowledge is what people are lacking. And like you said, it's shooting a gun is cool. That's great. But I mean, what happens if you don't have a gun? What happens if you don't have a knife? What happens if you're in some situation where you're not threatened by another person, you're threatened by the world? Yeah. Like, how are you going to survive that outcome? And that's kind of what we like to talk about in the classes. So yes, we teach a lot about firearms and tactics, but we also do a lot of stuff where it's just everyday survivability.
Right. I mean, it comes down to just not enough people are getting outside these days. Yeah. And COVID was really fucking stupid. And COVID made a lot of people soft. I know a lot of tough people that I've always looked up to that are now mousy and pussified. I hate to say that, but it's like, what the fuck happened? You were cooped up for a year in a house, and this is what happens to you. You know,
we were outside. Yeah, like literally, like I did more with my kids outside this past year. I mean, besides we're building the gun store and stuff, but I mean, I put the camper behind the shop because we have 30 acres. So I put the camper on the range. They'd come to the shop, help me do stuff. We'd sleep in the camper. We put a tent up, whatever it was. But we were outside the entire time. Like everybody where I live, we were outside. But then I talked to friends like you said you did. We're like, oh no, I've been in my house for like 10 months. Like, what? Like that was your opportunity, your golden opportunity to like actually go outside and like learn things and work on skills and just be one with nature, because being outside in fresh air. And no one did that.
It's wild.
Everyone was like lazy.
Yeah, it's wild, dude. I have a buddy who I play video games with who I've never met in real life. He lives 20 minutes away. I'm like, yo, dude, let's get a beer. And New Hampshire's been open this entire time.
Yeah.
Like at least 50% capacity since last May for restaurants and stuff. They lifted our mask mandate, all this other stuff. No one gives a fuck. No one's dropping like flies. And this dude, he like won't even get a beer with me. He's like, oh, well, I have, you know, a 1-year-old and I can't get my family sick. I'm like, dude, he told me in 9 months, he only left his house to get gas and to go to Sam's Club, Walmart to get food for his house. He's like,
so let's lower our immune systems by sheltering ourselves.
Dude, everyone is informed in a certain way, and I haven't had cable for like 4 years, and it's been the best thing I've ever done.
Dude, I haven't had it since 2012.
Not having cable, but it really makes me sad when, you know, you got friends like that where you're just like, hey man, like, come over to my house. I had COVID. Everything's cool. Like, we're a safe environment here. We can go out and have a beer on my deck and have some burgers. Nah, dude, sorry, I can't jeopardize my family. It's like, holy fuck, dude. You're 20 minutes away in a state that has the lowest fucking reported COVID, and we have no mask mandate, and schools are 100% open, businesses are 100% open. They just opened movie theaters. Like, let's get real. And that's a bummer too. I love the movies, and my favorite local movie theater chain bankrupt.
That sucks.
Real big bummer. And it's funny, all the really shitty small movie theaters are actually doing well because they were renting out their spaces through COVID. So you could rent out a movie theater for $150, as many people as you want to come, and you just bring a Blu-ray and they'll put it on the big screen for you for 2 hours. Yeah. We were doing that this year.
That whole thing, like, that's what sucked about COVID was like the amount of small businesses that couldn't survive.
Right.
And I feel like, I mean, I tried at least twice a week to shop local or like go out to eat local or just take out.
Yeah, from these places. Well. You're doing well through this. Gun stuff went, you know, through the roof, and
we did. Yeah,
PPP.
Gun stuff did good. Very, very, very good.
When COVID first happened, and we were unsure that we were going to have, you know, I was really feeling for my staff. So we were unsure if we were going to have supply chain issues. So I applied for the PPP loan the second I heard we could apply for it. We didn't know what was going to happen. We applied for it. We got approval, and we got a lot of money, like a lot of money. But
I've been denied like 4 times.
What?
I've been denied like 4 times.
Oh, Jesus. So we got a lot of money, and we were making a lot of money. And through COVID, we actually expanded our business by 4 more positions. We grew by 300%. And, you know, we applied for that PPP loan before we knew what was actually going to happen. And that's not, you know, but we hit all the parameters. We actually used all the money for payroll within 3 weeks versus the 6 weeks that you were supposed to before they added all the extensions and stuff. We used up all the money in 3 weeks because my guys were working straight up 15 hours of overtime each a week. So I was burning down like $32,000 bi-weekly on payroll. Just like,
that's awesome. Like, I mean, it moved us from the basement to an actual storefront. Like, that's honestly what pushed it. Was we were getting so much business, and like I said, Joe, like he had Escarpment Arms, and then he was like, "Hey man, can you start like working like at my house?" And I was like, "Yeah, dude, I ain't got anything else going on." Like, because training was kind of hit or miss at that moment. So I was like, "Yeah, dude, let's do it." And then it got to the point where I was like, "Dude, this needs to change. Like, this area is lacking like gun stores. Like 3 other gun stores closed. So we're one of 2 like legit like family owned gun stores, like fully fledged gun stores in Niagara County where I am. But we're the only custom shop probably within like an hour distance until you get to Mike's place out in Rochester, which is an hour and a half away. So
which is All-Star Tactical.
Yeah, All-Star Tactical.
And the bunker? Do they still have the bunker?
Yep, the bunker. Mike just actually moved into, I think, like an 8,000 square foot facility.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's funny. It's coincidental. I haven't talked about Mike in a while, but Mike texted me today.
Yeah.
Like, coincidentally enough, you're on this podcast. You know Mike. Fucking Mike texts me.
Wait, that's bullshit, because I called that motherfucker today and he didn't answer.
He was texting me because he wants holsters.
Bitch.
Actually, All-Star Tactical was a dealer of ours. They haven't re-upped in fucking years. Dude, I got this knife. I got that fucking Elvia Emerson.
Nice.
What are your thoughts of these stab and drags?
Here, hold on. Give me 1 second. I'll check mine.
Hopefully I don't stab my... These are cool.
All right, so I run the clinch pick that Craig Douglas came out with. So reverse blade. Same concept as that, reverse blade. I dig it, like the whole concept behind it. Like, this sits on my belt, so I mean, you pull in up. I mean, it's not. Some people are against it, but I mean, it's not meant to. It's meant to create distance, like those type of blades. Like, that's what they're meant to do, is be able to create distance so you can get to your gun, or you can get away if you have to. They're not meant to stab, 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 maim, kill. It's meant to cut, pull, and that person's like, oh God. Tons of stuff is falling out. Like, I need to hold this, and then you can get back and do whatever you have to do. But I'm a huge proponent of carrying some type of blade on you to protect yourself. And the reverse edge like that, Ian's the one who got me into them, and I love them. I think they're awesome.
Well, I used to run like karambits, but you have to like punch and swing. I think the fucking calls are way better because if you're like closer, you can stab and drag towards you. Like, you're not trying to push away and do this like weird stroking. Like, I prefer this over a karambit. But
yeah, the karambit, the whole like finger hold and all that other stuff, like, I'm not a fan of that stuff. Like, I used to like them, and then sitting down, taking a lot of point-driven strategy classes with Ian, I've realized that they aren't, like, yes, it's better than having nothing, but in my opinion, there's something better out there, which would be like what you have or what I have.
Yeah, I need to take a knife class. That's one thing that any skills that I have with a knife have literally just been self-taught. Like,
dude, Ian isn't that far from me.
Yeah, dude, I haven't hung out with Ian in a long time. Dude, New Hampshire's a fucking weird place, man.
Yes, it is.
It's like, we have all these super pro 2A companies, but there's also like the general gun dork, gun nerd, pseudo alpha fucking, there's like a toxicity in New Hampshire. Like, there's ego. There's a lot of ego amongst companies here. There's a lot of ego. And it's fine. I mean, that ego drives innovation, in my opinion, at least if you're a creator of things of sorts. But let's just say the general gun dork that walks into a gun store, there's a lot of toxicity. Like, the gun stores in New Hampshire, all they do are they just talk so much shit about each other. I remember watching employees of one gun shop that doesn't exist anymore going on to another gun shop's Facebook and flaming them with slander. Like, why do you care so much? Like, you guys,
we try to work together. Like,
why not work together?
I have local gun shops to me that, like, their employees will drive the 45 minutes north to me to get guns, or to like buy stuff, or just to come hang out. Like, we're all about working with each other. Like Mike, like, I sell a ton of Mike's products in the store. Like, I'll drive out there and grab products like every other week. Like, when I'm here, Joe goes out there. Like, we're a community. Like, we need to help each other out. Same thing with the training community. Is I take a lot of slack in this area because people are like, oh, that's all tactical. Like, you don't even know any of that shit. I'm like, I'm not teaching anything tactical. I'm not. I'm just teaching like a martial skill set. Like, it just happens to be that I have a background that's very tactical, but I'm not teaching that type of stuff. Like, yes, the tactics come with it, and yes, you're learning a militaristic style of things, but I'm in it for everybody. Like, I've worked with a ton of small like instructors that have like just do private classes, and they come to my classes, and I'm all about it. Or if I go shoot with them, like, dude, teach me something. Like, I'm not against you. Like, I'm not trying to take business from you. Like, we need to work together. Like, if you come take a class with me, don't just take a class with me. Find other people. I'm not the only one. Like, talk to other people, go see what they can do, and then you can make the decision for yourself whether you like their style or you don't like their style. But I'm not going to sit here and bash these mom and pops or these people that do onesies, twosies classes or just have an NRA instructor cert. Like, I'm not about certs like that, but if that's what you want to do, man, do it. Like, and I will support you 100%.
Yeah, exactly, man. I mean, we sell to a lot of local gun shops, and we've heard some gun shops being like, why you sell to them? Why don't you do more with us? Or, it's like, because you don't fucking call us, talk to us, ask us to do stuff with you. We'd be more than happy to show up to like an open house day. I'm more than happy to send an employee over during an open house so people can answer questions about holsters and what's best for those people. We're willing to send staff over to do training in-house for that gun shop so that, the gun store associates are more well-informed on our holsters. We do a whole program where if a gun store is carrying our stuff, all the full-time associates that work that section get free holsters, so that they can wear them on their belt, and then people go, oh, that's a cool holster. Which one is it? And then they can go over and sell our stuff. Like, we have a whole incentivized program, and a lot of these gun shops aren't cashing in on that. They're not capitalizing on it at all. They kind of like, oh, why did you talk about this company but not us? It's like, dude, like, it's all a balance, And I mean, you can ask Ian. Ian could tell you how toxic, like, especially in the early Instagram gun years, there was so much back and forth banter between people and manufacturers and local events in New Hampshire. Like, I'm not gonna lie, I don't do any local events in New Hampshire anymore. I only stick to like the HAVA, which is like, the veteran suicide stuff, and the aiming for zero. Anything that's, like a charity, I'll do like charity events because, obviously I want stuff going to the right people that need it and the people that are in need. Yeah. But I avoid all the cool events, which would air quotes cool, I avoid all those now because they're poorly put together. There's always drama, or the range isn't set up the way it was advertised for when we get there. And people, there's a bottleneck of people wanting to shoot, but, whatever. It's not an Ohio Range Day. Ohio Range Day seems like it's very well put together. I have not.
And that's what I was going to say was like, that's why Rick from Achilles started Ohio Range Day, was to kind of get out of that aspect of insta famous people, or they're only there for the clout, whatever the fuck clout, whatever the fuck it is.
CLOUT.
Yeah, they're only there for that, like Texas Range Day. Like, dude, I know tons of people that want Texas Range Day, but if you look at all the pictures and the media from it, it's all people that are huge in the industry. Like, there's no small people.
No, it's not people that are huge in the industry. It's a bunch of fucking gun bunnies. I saw it. I mean, I saw a lot. Yeah, I saw a lot of the fucking photos from Texas Range Day, and it's the same 5 fucking people in all the photos. Yeah. Now, some of those people I'm friends with, and it's fine. Yeah, it's good for them for getting their shit. But then there's a lot of people that you're like, why the fuck is that person even fucking relevant? Oh, they got big fake boobies, or they hang out with these 3 people, and that's why they're. Yeah, dude, I saw all that shit, dude. That's why I don't do these range days, because and I don't even want to be a fucking vendor. Because you know how many times I've done vendor at these range days and we sell like a handful of stuff? People already have kit showing up to these events. People show up to these events in full kit to wear their Gucci gear and kind of show it off and, show off their ego. So I stopped having vendor tables at these events. I just go, maybe I'll bring like, my operations manager or my business partner. Maybe we'll show up and, bring a handful of stuff that we sell out of the back of a truck. If people are like, oh, yo, do you got any of this with you? Yeah, actually we do. We got Mac Harris for Glocks. We have,
I mean, that's how
we shoot with the people.
And RXRD is. Yeah. So like, if you look at the media from Ohio Range Day, there's not a ton of famous people that are there. Like, Rick goes through and like looks at like the people's names and looks at their media accounts. Or if they don't have a media account, like they write a little blurb on why they feel they should be accepted to go.
Right.
And that's how they get there. Like, people who legitimately want to train.
Right.
So what it is now you've got 4 instructors where you choose the instructor you want to train with, and that's who you're with for the 2 days or whatever, or you're with this person one day and then you're with another person the second day, and you're actually getting in 8 hours each day with an instructor. And then after dinner, before dinner, you're doing like 3-4 hours of competition shooting in the bays.
Right.
And then RXRD is the same concept, where now we're trying to travel to each section of the states, like for each quarter, we want to be someplace different where you've got 60 students are accepted. And then I've got 15 students in my class because I'll be in San Bernardino next weekend doing a carbine class. And I'll have 15 students for 8 hours straight on the range. And then we'll have 3 hours of competition shooting after the fact where you can win stuff from whoever's sponsoring who, like Axle Hearing Protection and Velocity Precision are sponsoring me for that event. So they're going to have Ear Pro out there for people to buy or get fitted for Velocity Precision triggers. They're going to be there. So I've been running triggers for 5 years. So if you want to try a trigger, like literally Tom, the owner, will be there so he can drop his trigger into your gun in like 5 minutes, and then you can run the trigger at the class.
Perfect.
That's what it's all about, is like building community. Like the students that I had at the last ARC, at the Q1 ARCs range day, they're still hitting me up in messages. They're still talking to each other. They're scheduling range days for each other to go to just to have fun and just shoot some stuff. But like, we're trying to get the community stronger, that, hey, it's not about being fancy and doing cool shit. It's about like being with each other and learning new things with each other.
Exactly. And that's the thing, man. Like, I love like the hype beast shit and all the Gucci gear, and most of the dudes that produce that stuff, the limited drops, I'm friends with all those people. I just acquire that gear because I want to support my friends. They support me. They get holsters. They do some posts every once in a while, and that's cool. But what I've noticed in the young, early 20s demographic right now is it's almost like a pissing contest of who's got the sexiest gear that they can lay out on the floor for Instagram and take a picture, Yeah. It's kind of like, oh, look, I got all this hard to acquire stuff and it's worth this much, and it's like, I have a pair of DEF CON multicam black shoes that I beat the living piss out of, and I've bumped into random people in the fucking airport and they're like, dude, you're wearing DEF CONs? Like, aren't those like super rare and expensive? And I was like, yeah, but who cares, dude? It's just, I got them for $120 on a drop day and it's cool and they're comfortable and I wear them when I want to wear them.
Well, that's why like I post like the last time, like with me at work, like I did one post with my gear layout where it was the Cry LVS low pro plate carrier, a Spiritus micro rig, my Modern Material Checkmate pistol, and then my 19, my 17. And that was my kit. And people were like, that's what you wear at work? Like, yes, I don't have a ton of fancy shit. Like, yes, the Cry carrier's fancy. It's not mine, but it's a low pro carrier. It works for what I need it for. Like, I just upgraded my actual overt plate carrier 2 weeks ago. I had the same Velocity carrier for like 6-7 years, and I just bought a new one. Like, I run the piss out of my gear. Like, I've had this HTC belt for 6 years. Like, I've deployed with it, I can't tell you how many times, and I finally broke the pistol pouch. It cracked like right here, and the Boltron just cracked, but it was 6 years old.
Yeah,
like, the thing has been beaten on forever. Like, all that, did you see that this new thing got released? Oh, you buy it. Oh, this new thing got released. You buy it. Oh, hey, what do you think about this? I'm like, I don't know. I don't have that. What do you mean you don't have that? Everything, all my kit is practical. Everything that I use is practical for me for work, whether it's on the range or whether it's my normal job. Like, everything I have has a purpose to it. I don't just have a ton of random gear. Like, yes, over the years I've collected a lot of stuff, but everything I have has a purpose to it. Like, I put a law folder, I'm probably gonna get shit for this. I put a law folder on my pistol so I can keep it in my backpack. I took it off. Like, I used it for that rotation for 6 weeks. I got back a couple days ago and I took it off my gun. Everyone's like, why'd you take it off? Like, it added 11.5 ounces to my gun. Like, that's a lot of freaking weight when you have your laser, your flashlight, your optic, all that stuff. That's a ton of extra weight that I didn't want. So I went and built a PCC, a 9mm PCC with, I'm going to put like a Tomahawk stock on it, or like a PW stock. So it's small enough.
It's awesome.
Like, like I said, like, it served its purpose for me. I thought it was pretty neat, but I didn't like it for the weight. And people were like, oh, I can't believe you don't like it because of that. Like, just get stronger. Like, dude, that's not the point behind it.
Exactly.
It's an extra 11 ounces that I don't want to carry. Like, I've done my time. I've carried 70-pound rucksacks on mountains. I've carried a full-size M16 with a PEC 2 laser and a fucking ACOG. I've got the ACOG on my shelf right here.
Yeah, dude.
That's sitting there like painted and shit. Like, I don't want to do that anymore. So I'm trying to be as lightweight, as minimal as possible. So that's why I took it off. Like, is the law folder, do I like it? Of course I do. Are there issues with it? Of course there is. If you're running suppressed, you're going to get a ton of gas in your face because there's a crack in the back of the gun where the seam is. I didn't like that. So that's one of the other reasons why I took it off. Not that there's anything wrong with it. It's just for my application, it doesn't work.
Exactly. Dude, I'm super excited right now. RSR just sent me a message saying they got a bunch of 9mm for me. Yay!
I get like 20 boxes a day from them.
Yeah, I don't.
Not ammo. Just.
Oh, no. Dude, I have had like 100,000 rounds on back order since last June.
Yeah, I had ICC ammo back in like August, probably about 20,000 rounds that I just finally got from them like 4 days ago.
Oh, if you get any 17 HMR, let me know.
Do I have some right now? I might not.
I got a new 17 HMR lightweight squirrel gun from CZ.
Nice.
With a can on it. Yeah, I need 17 HMR. I'm on the hunt for 40 grain 22 and 130 grain Burger gold medal match Federal 6.5 Creedmoor. That's what I shoot for matches, and yeah. I haven't gotten a delivery of that since September.
See, I shoot Hornady ELD 140 match, like for my AI, but anything over 1,000, I have hand loads for.
Yeah, that 130 grain Burger gold medal match stuff from Federal is so fucking nice, dude, and it runs.
Yeah, I haven't tried it
yet, dude. It's chronoing out of my guns at 29.79.
Nice.
So that's quick.
What kind of chrono do you have?
I have a Labradar. Because I shoot suppressed Thunder Beast, I have to run a trigger system, an accelerometer trigger system that I got off Facebook, off this dude that 3D prints like a little, it's like a square box with a glued in wire sticking out of it, and it's an accelerometer trigger that plugs in the 3.5mm slot into the Labradar, and I have to gently loop it under my scope, and then if I load the bipod too much, it won't pick it up, so I have to free recoil shoot off the bipod. So I just put it on the bag and tap the trigger to get my velocities, because my gun's so quiet, because I'm running a 24-inch Krieger bull barrel match barrel thick boy with a Thunder Beast Ultra 9 6.5 Creedmoor or 264 diameter can. So my gun's actually hearing safe when I'm shooting it. So
if you can read a barrel, I mean, my guy that does my barrels turned barrels for AI forever.
Oh, that's cool. I go through Kelbleys. I'm kind of like, I wouldn't say sponsored, but I'm like a business alliance with Kelbleys. Yeah. So they fucking just charge me for the blank and for a little bit of labor for my barrels. So I get my barrels pretty cheap. I also am a dealer for Schillen, so I get barrels through Schillen as well. They take forever though. Schillen takes like 9 months for a barrel. You know, they'll tell you 2 weeks. You get it 9 months later.
That's kind of like my checkmate for Modern Material. Everyone's like, man, I really want that Bull Creek checkmate from ModMat. They're like 14 months back ordered right now.
Exactly.
Sucks.
Well, Frank, we've been doing this for a long time since we had to record a second one. Is there anything in closing you'd like to say? Get out there, shout out your business, shout out your website, your Instagram.
Yeah. I mean, I'm Bull Creek Strategic at Instagram, Facebook, website is bullcreekstrategic.com. Check out some of the stuff that we have going on with Achilles Heel and Arcane Group. We've got RXRD Q2 in San Bernardino, California next weekend. We're looking at doing Q3 sometime, probably fall, like September-ish. If you're looking for instructors to come out to you, if you can get a group of people, man, we travel to. So hit me up, DM me, shoot me a message on my website, whatever. We love to travel. I mean, this is what we do for a living. Like we love it. We enjoy it. If we didn't enjoy it, we wouldn't do it. I mean, if you have general questions, just hit me up. I'm always answering questions.
Yeah, you're always never not on Instagram. I've noticed that.
Yeah. No, I've figured out how to play it right. It shows I'm always on, but like I'm not like always on it. Like I'll have like some of my other guys post stuff on it too to keep the story relevant. Just to keep the analytics rolling with it.
Exactly. Well, Frank, I love you. I appreciate you. Let's get on Warzone at some point this week.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to talk with us. Everyone, if you're in New York, definitely check out Bull Creek Strategic. Spend money with Frank. We always appreciate that. And we'll catch you all later. So thank you for tuning in.
Thanks, man. I appreciate your time and everything you guys do, man.
Absolutely.
See you soon.